Joining us right now is Masha and Dina, and I want to say thank you for joining us. Mina, I understand this is kind of a contribution from, some don't like to say it, but I'm going to say it, like a student type film, but made for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me again, for those kind of like tuning in, I know it's a short, but it's something that I hope people will watch. It literally says, while the world is under global quarantine, yeah, real fitting. It's happening right now, right? A teenage girl, Mina, writes a story on how she overcame an eating disorder after rediscovering herself and falling in love for the first time. A lot of people don't understand that, falling in love. What's that like?
Well, I think it's different for everyone, but especially when you're in recovery from an eating disorder, I think it's also a way to kind of rediscover yourself, to find yourself again, and find this person who believes in you and who accepts you the way you are and who wants you to be the way you are. So I think falling in love, here falling, it's actually rising because you're becoming yourself again.
Yeah, I love that. And Dina, I know you kind of like, well, let's put it this way. You both are a part of this. I know, again, doing this all together. I'm going to bring it up here so you guys could see it here. It's available right now. Let me scroll up so you can see the whole thing. It's Mina. It's a full 19 and 23. I will say this put together well and good so that people want to see it again and again, right?
Yes. So basically, Mina, I'm the director and the writer, and Dina is my main producer. We both go to NYU. We're from NYU Gallatin.
All right, go NYU.
Yes, represent. That's where we met. But this is my story. It's based on my life. When I was 15, I was actually diagnosed with anorexia, and I went through a recovery process. And then now I'm 23. I'm fully recovered, and I decided to write a story to share and to help those in need of struggling with eating disorders, to let them know that they're not alone and that this battle can be conquered. And this short film is actually a teaser for the bigger script I wrote, which is 300 pages, and we're planning for it to be a limited TV series. So the short film acts as a teaser, as a proof of concept for people to see what we're planning to do in the future for the bigger project.
Well, I love it. I can already see it. Dina, when you got kind of like, let me put it this way. Was it a hard sell or a easy sell that Masha gave?
I mean, when Masha told me about this idea, I immediately like realized that I need to be part of this, because in the past I was in modeling industry and I had lots of friends who had like eating disorder, and they were trying to like get this like perfect image. And I know like lots of people struggling with eating disorders right now, and I thought that I have to be part of this project to help people to realize that we are perfect the way we are. And I believe in this project so much, and I think it has like this power to help like young people, and not only young people, to like overcome this like obstacle. So yeah.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because I'll put it this way. I always say, and no one knows better than someone who goes through it, but if you're a friend of someone, you really don't know what to say or how to say it, because you don't know how to bring full awareness. And so I'm going to go to you, Masha, since you say, you've recovered. What's one of the things, if you have a friend who is kind of like in silence saying something about it? I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what to say when I actually dated someone who had, but I didn't know how to address it. So I just kind of, because I knew like it would be a sore topic to talk about. And she mentioned that she had struggled with it when she was young, but I could see it forming in like, you know what I mean? Especially during like hard time,
Yeah. So I think it's very important to speak up, especially if you notice someone you're close with is struggling, because just as you said, they can struggle in silence. And eating disorders are so tricky in a way that people sometimes they don't admit to themselves that
Yeah.
they're struggling, and that this is a problem, that they think like, oh, I'm just not eating as much, or oh, I'm just like dieting or whatever. But it's actually a problem, and with time, it becomes just bigger and bigger in their head. So I think to approach people like that, that's why we need projects like that to see. But for them, I think for them, what they need to hear is that it's okay not to be okay. And it's also okay to ask for help. And if you're struggling and if you're feeling like you're not yourself and you don't have enough energy to live, then you definitely need to do something with that. Because when I had this problem, I felt like I was a ghost. Like I was not myself, like my energy was out and I didn't live my life, you know? Like
Yeah.
my friends, my family, they didn't recognize me. They were like, "Where is our Masha?" So I was like, I need to do something with that. And our film says this, that one person dies from an eating disorder every 52 minutes. So a lot of people don't understand how deadly this is and how actually dangerous this is. And it's a big, big problem. And I think projects like Mina, they need to be out there so the people who are struggling know they're not alone. It's solvable, but they also need to do something with that. They can't just sit there and wait for something to happen because something bad can happen.
Yeah, it's available right there. Dina, I know we're running out of time, but I know you got something to add to that.
Yeah, I just believe that this project will help to be people more empathetic towards people who have this problem, and just raise awareness about this problem. And I believe in this project, and I believe that it has this power to like make a world a better place, make a world a safer place for young people and people who have like eating disorders. So yeah, that's all I want to add.
Well, I want to say thank you to each and every one of your team for bringing this out. I'm not going to lie. If I could go back, I would probably say, hey, can we watch this? But, you didn't have it done. So now I could be like, hey, can you watch this? Because I don't know how to address that. You know what I mean? And I think it's very difficult when you're someone who knows it's a thing, but you don't know how to put them in contact with someone that can help them. And I think there needs to be more done on because there's a lot of people that know this is a thing. Kind of like you mentioned, Dina, there's a lot of models and guys don't understand this, that sometimes they don't eat just so they can get that perfect pic. Mm-hmm. But also then there's pressure from the industry that says, hey, if you look this or that, now all of a sudden you're out of a job. So behind the scenes, a lot of models talk about this, but I think more needs to be done for those that aren't models, but just are like anyone and everyone who has something not going, like you said, Masha, I'm just not hungry. But then you see it kind of like through your friends and family say, yeah, but what's going on? Because there's also more that happens behind the scenes other than just losing weight, right?
And again, eating disorders, mainly it's not about food or weight. It's something going on emotionally inside. So it's very important to address this issue, to understand what's happening here, first of all. And food and recovery, it will all come. But first, the person has to admit that emotionally he needs something more. So yeah, that self-love, self-acceptance, all this things has to be worked through for sure. And we're here to help. People who are struggling or who have questions can always address us at Mina Film Official. We're on Instagram, and we really hope that the short film will eventually turn into a TV show so more people will know how to address this issue and how to come out of it stronger.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Great job. Great proof of concept. I can't wait to see it. And thank you both for joining us here at the Femme Film Festival 2022. Can't wait to see what you're doing for 2023, 2024, 2025. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. More right after this. Joining us right now is Melissa Pinsley. Melissa, you got a great film out. It is all a really good film about the small hours, but those are not small when you think about it, because it's like including the big P word. Can you say what we're talking about?
It's about what it's like to be pregnant in the middle of the night. And the actress who is the lead in it, Siggy Rabbit, she was 8 months pregnant when we shot. So it was really great to capture authentic pregnancy feelings, but really exploring those moments in the middle of the night when most pregnant people are awake or at some point, whether it's to pee, whether it's to throw up, whether it's just to process the world and what's happening to this life growing inside of you. And I just wanted to show those moments and explore them in a way where we could give them attention, because I feel like it's always just like, oh, it's not so big, so it's not a big deal. But in those moments, it's the biggest deal. So I was hoping to capture that.
Well, I think it did. And it's one of those things where we kind of go, okay, like, guys never get it, right? Women that are single never get it. And kids don't get it until they have one of their own. When you're alone like this, what does it feel like?
It's very lonely. It is lonely. And I also wanted to deal with, so my youngest was born in June 2020, and that was at the beginning of the pandemic. And so the isolation of what you're already feeling, where no one really understands what such a big deal is, or, oh, I can't move my body, I can't lift this thing, and I know it's stressful to this person who needs my help, but I can't do it right now. And I just wanted to showcase that after dealing with it, because Siggy was pregnant during the pandemic, and we really wanted to talk about what is this isolation like, and how do we bring that life and joy to ourselves when we have no one else but ourselves and this soon to be life within us.
Yeah, I don't think people appreciate how much the whole birth thing is, right? I had someone always tell me, it's not that painful. I go, just because it wasn't painful for you doesn't mean it's not painful for everyone, right? It all depends on the person, right?
Exactly. We all have different experiences, and I only have my own. So I was trying to, through collaborating with Siggy, she came to me when she first got pregnant and was like, I want to do something while I'm pregnant. Let's make something. So I was like, all right, what do we want to make? So we came upon this, and I really wanted to make sure it wasn't just my experience, but what she was dealing with. Because also this is what she was dealing with in the moment. So it was about, how do we bring truth to this that hopefully many people can relate to, because I think that's what we need right now, is we need more ways of connection relating to each other.
Yeah, this is real life, not a baby thing that they put like in films where you're like, oh, that's obviously fake. Come on, that doesn't even look like a real belly, right?
Yeah, or it's like, oh, she would not move like that if so then the trick was like, how do we make the earlier stages of pregnancy, how do we make it so she doesn't look like she's 8 months pregnant?
You gotta do the backwards thing. Okay, so I have a question. Obviously, moms everywhere are like, do I want to be pregnant? I say, well, there's a gift eventually, right? When they get born and you get to go, you're so cute, right? And then when they grow up, you go, you don't understand what I had to go through, right? So so for people everywhere where they're like, okay, do we want to be? Do we not? There's a lot of planning that goes in, but sometimes you go, yo, guy, that kind of contribute. Do you want to contribute more? Or how can men, in a way, say, okay, I support you with whatever you do because you're the one going through it, not me?
Well, I would first say it's not just men. There are many, relationships come in many forms and many different types of people. And it's when someone is not carrying the baby themselves, there is a disconnection. And then there is this first not knowing, but then themselves processing not being part of it, almost sometimes feeling left out. And so I personally think, I actually produced this with my husband. So he was very much a part of the process. I could not have done this without him. And I really do. It feels like a labor of love we created, a labor of family of I actually made it to also show him what it was like to go through this, and the good and the bad. It's not just the scary moments. It's also the little moments that bring us joy, or the ones that are like, oh, that happened. But it's just about how can we relate to something we didn't experience? And so that's what I'm trying to work on with my.
Well, I love the trailer because it looks like very like, you did it in a home. Did you use your home or another home?
We used Siggy's home because we wanted, especially with, so we shot right when the first shots came out for the vaccines came out for COVID. And so we were trying to make sure everyone had the first shot. We were just trying to be as limited crew, not having to go to different sets where we couldn't control who'd been in and out. So we used Siggy's home because she was pregnant, and then my backyard. So it was a nice bringing our homes together to work in, which made it easier because we got.
That's smart because you don't want to get the little kids sick, right? You'd be like, I got sick because of this,
I don't want to get anyone sick. I don't want to get anyone on my set sick. I have a responsibility when I'm bringing people together during a pandemic to make sure we don't spread it. And so luckily, as far as I know, we were able to keep everyone really safe, and that was very exciting.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm not gonna lie. I see so many people kind of putting like caution to the wind. I go, when you have a baby on board, so to speak, you want to take the time for that little birth to be, as good as possible, right? But the small hours, I love the title, and I got to read what it says. It says, after struggling to conceive, which a lot of people don't understand how hard that is. A newly pregnant woman takes on cravings, cribs, and crying in the middle of the night through the exhilarating highs and unspoken fears that come with pregnancy. Lila struggles to find herself during the small hours. The film explores the isolating experience of being pregnant in the middle of the night when no one else is awake. That word isolating, I feel like a lot of people could kind of like feel that right now,
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I got COVID for the first time in June, and now I have long COVID, and my symptoms are those that mimic MS, and I'm trying to deal with that. So I am someone who I am very high risk. I can't risk getting COVID again. And I think it's really important that, if I can safely tell my story from home or connect with you through this, I think it's really important that we take care of each other and that we recognize that if someone is okay, whatever that means during this time, a lot of people aren't. And so how do we find each other? How do we not just give up on people because their bodies work differently or their brains work differently? And so that's a big theme through my work and what I try to put out there and try to create with people.
Well, and I want to say thank you for being honest about that, because a lot of people, I think, are kind of like in this mode of it's not a thing anymore. And I'm like, did you find the cure, or like what's going on? Because you yourself, like you said, and you mentioned this, I had a friend who I recently talked to. We did an event. We did so safely, of course, but he usually does the broadcast with me. He's a healthy guy, right? He got COVID, I think at the same time that you did, around June, July. And he's like, dude, I can barely walk still, right? And I'm like, whoa, it's not even worth getting at least even once. And you mentioned not getting a second time. Well, why do you say that, by the way? Can you share?
I'm afraid I could get a heart attack. It was so scary the first time when I have these like squeezes in my pain. I now can't function. I have numbness that goes throughout my body. Sometimes I can't walk very well. Some days I can't get out of bed. And some days I'm great and can show up and be on camera. And that's very exciting that I still have moments. But it's hard because when you have the good moments, people assume that's you all the time. And I'm just very good at using my energy when I need to. And I just think we all need to have an awareness that this isn't over. And again, I'm one of the only ones wearing masks wherever I go. And I have to.
You and me both. I got mine right here. N95. I'm not dumb. I'm not going to get sick. There are people that throw caution when I go, you know what? Until you got the cure and you can prove it to me, not going to, because I have a lot of friends I buried recently. And during this time during this time, I'm sorry to hear that. During this La Femme Film Festival, La Femme actually took it upon themselves to go hybrid model, do so safely, and do it virtually so that they didn't have to cancel. So in 2020, when it first came out, Leslie was like, okay, what do we do? And she jumped on something that she could do to involve all filmmakers so that we could get these things seen, because it's a great time if you are sick with anything. You have the flu, the cold, or any other, thing, and you can watch the films at home. I'm going to bring it up real quick right here. Take that one off. There it is. You can get all access for only $49, and you can support each and every filmmaker in your life, and or spread the word just by sharing and saying, hey, go check it out. So thank you so very much for spending time with us, Melissa. I hope you stay safe during this time, and I hope you get the next shot that's there. It's for 4 and 5. A lot of people don't know it's there. It is there.
Yes, there's a booster. Get it.
Yeah, let this be the PSA about that. Again, be safe, and especially for your kids, be safe and make sure they stay alive, right? Because grandma and grandpa.
And masking is a simple option. Just wear a mask, and it really works.
So I know I'm going to get reamed for this. People are going to say, "Don't talk about that." I go,
No,
whatever.
But guess what?
I'm not going to be dead.
Protect people.
I'm not going to be dead. No way. I'm not going to get my mom sick. All right, people. We'll be right back with more right after this.
And thank you for this, and thank you for this festival.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, more right after this.
Bye.
In the beginning, all films were short.
It's not a charity. We're not here to help you. We're not here to help your cause. We're there to make our money make money.
It probably takes a year to 2 years to really start seeing money.
That title of executive producer on a feature is not the same as the title of executive producer on a television show.
Don't give yourself a bad review. before you start. I'm sorry, I'm super awesome, and this is my pitch.
In the beginning, all films were short.
Joining us right now is Carmen. And Carmen, I understand you have a film. It's called well, I'll let you introduce it because I don't want to say it wrong.
The Cypriot Maronites.
Okay,
Cypriot.
Yeah, that see, you almost mispronounced it. Okay, the Cypriot Maronites. And the Cypriot Maronites, I mean, that sounds cool, not going to lie. What's it about?
Okay, the Maronites is a rite in the Christian religion, and they are coming from the East. They are followers of Saint Maron. But what is important to say is that this documentary is not religious at all. It's something sociological and anthropological. I'm talking about people who have this identity being Maronite, but they are Cypriots, in fact, because they left Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, all this region, which was the Grand Syria 1,200 years ago. So in the 8th century, they left this region going to Cyprus and thinking that one day they will come back, but they never came back, in fact. And when they went to Cyprus, they forgot somehow their language and their identity, the Lebanese or Syrian or Iraqi one, and they melt into being Cypriots, but they kept their religion, their right, and they celebrate the Mass in the Maronite way. Okay, it's like being Greek Orthodox, Greek Catholic, or Latin, or Orthodox. It's a rite, but following also the Vatican. So 1,200 years ago, they left, they went there, and in 1974, there has been the invasion from the Turks to the north of the island in Cyprus. And there were remaining only 4 villages, fully, like a lot of people, 150,000 people, Maronites living in the island. And during the invasion, they were obliged to leave their villages and to flee to the south of the island. And now, why I did this documentary, because now they are threatened to disappear, because fleeing from the north and from their villages and going to the south of the island and spreading somewhere else and getting married with other people in the island, they are threatened to disappear one day, especially that now remaining only 4 villages. Aya Marina, let's say it's desertic, and they can celebrate only once a year the Mass, because they are not allowed anymore to go there. All the houses are destroyed. Asomatos also, they only are allowed to go once a week to celebrate the Mass during Sunday, and they cannot reach their house. You can imagine, they can see their house, they cannot reach it, they cannot enter it, they are not allowed, and they even take permission to go to those villages and to celebrate the Mass. And Carpaccia is the smallest village, but the oldest one maybe, and only remaining 9%, the elders 1, and Kormakitis, the village where all the people try to resist and they remain there. It's the biggest one, and at the same time you can go and come easily. The Turkish didn't occupy the houses. But it is threatened also, because in 10, 20, 30 years after this, maybe the new generation will not go there, like the elder are staying at home to keep their houses.
Okay, so you got a lot of history here, and there's always something that I hate, and it is like putting a border where there should be. And I get the whole government thing, but I go, you know what? There's culture, and there's people that have lived like I think you mentioned in like the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages, as some would say. A lot of history gets lost. They have a lot of history that they're speaking on in this film, right?
Yes, it's a lot of history, because when they left this region 1,200 years ago, what is amazing is that during 12 centuries, they kept this tradition. Can you imagine? 12 centuries, they kept this tradition. But the history here is important, knowing that they are not really coming from Lebanon, they are coming more from Syria and Iraq. They are very attached to Lebanon because Lebanon is the main church for the Maronites. So the head of the Maronites is here in Lebanon. That's why they feel they are protected by the Maronite. They feel that they are linked to Lebanon because the head of the Maronites is here. Even though their churches and being Maronite there they are independent. The churches don't belong to the church here, but they feel they need the church here to protect them, and they send here, the patriarchate send priests to Cyprus to continue and to keep this tradition and how to celebrate the Mass, etc. So it's very sociological, anthropological. Again, I want to say it's not a religious documentary, but maybe some people think that, they are celebrating Mass, so it's religious. It is not. I'm not talking about their faith, who is Saint Maron and how they believe. It's not my subject. It's only to see how they are struggling to keep their identity alive and not to be, not to disappear, because this is the threat today.
Well, okay, Carmen, I'm going to take it in a little direction because we have a little time, not much. What do you think needs to be done further? Because, being one who's behind the cam and you see it and you go, okay, I need to tell this story. I know you're on to your next film and your other, thing, but let's say people did the right thing. And let's say people said, look, there's a thing called culture, right? And there's called heritage, and there's called, people have something you don't want to stamp out. There have been certain people that have overtaken others. We think of a film like Avatar. It talks about that very thing where you kind of stamp it out and then you snuff it for life. We don't want that with this village. I understand 4 villages remain and that's it.
But I didn't understand your question. Excuse me. I understood everything, but your question was?
Well, what do you think needs to be done?
Okay. They know inside themselves that in the coming years, it will not be the same like today. Let's say, for example, in Kormakitis, they speak a language which is the Sana language. And this Sana language has died already. They are trying to keep it, but the new generation doesn't speak it anyway. Every year, they are going a little bit, not further, but slower than before, because nothing is being done. The third generation or the third generation, they are spreading everywhere. What they are doing now is trying to catch the new generation to come back to the villages, but the villages are empty. I mean, Ayamarina, they cannot go. Asomatos, they cannot go, only for the Mass. Carpaccia, only 8 people remaining there. And the other houses are captured by the Turks. Kormakitis is the only village they are trying to keep the generation. And how they can keep them is only trying to catch them at least for the weekend. It will be a summer houses, only for the summer vacations. But no one will stay there, will stay living there. And now the elder people who are living there are maintained by the United Nations. The United Nations are giving them money and the supplies and food, and because they don't work, before they were having schools and hospitals, and it was a village. It was a big village, but now those villages are dying. And there is nothing to do there. So for the new generation, they are not interested in coming back and staying there, but trying to catch at least the new generation to come back for the weekend. Every weekend they try, the parents, to bring their child, but they know that they are threatened. And now in the government, there is a representative of this community, the Maronite community, who is trying to spread the word and trying to catch the attention of the countries to help them maintaining their identity and maintaining their villages. And their dream is to come back to all these villages and to build again those villages. This is their dream, and they are trying to work on it, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Well, the Cypriot Maronites, I learned a new word. I'm actually going to look forward to this. I hope I can see it soon. I know anyone and everyone, you can go ahead and click on the link. It's lafemme.eventive.org/films. You'll be able to get the film right there. Just click on it, and then you'll be able to see kind of what I say needs to be done when it comes to do the right thing and just let them be and let them prosper, because it's ridiculous that you're snapping them out little by little, which is what the government's doing. Let's just face it. I'll say it. You don't have to say it. All right. Thank you so much, Carmen, for spending time with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Aaron.
All right. More after this.
In the beginning, all films were short.
It's not a charity. We're not here to help you. We're not here to help your cause. We're there to make our money make money.
It probably takes a year to 2 years to really start seeing money.
That title of executive producer on a feature is not the same as the title of executive producer on a television show.
Don't give yourself a bad review before you start.
I'm sorry, I'm super awesome, and this is my pitch.
Joining us right now is someone that I've been talking a little about this behind the scenes on my show on ABC News Radio, and I talk about the world and how we're all there. This particular film kind of covers something I've been talking about in certain countries, and it's Beirut, the Aftermath. And there needs to be kind of awareness of this, because sometimes people forget certain countries because, I don't know about you, Fadia, but there are a lot of people here in the U.S. that they know what's in front of them, and that's it. Sometimes it's literally the mask, and that's it. But let's talk about Beirut and why it's so important, especially this film.
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me tonight, you guys. And as you're saying, Beirut the Aftermath is about a tiny country named Beirut. It's about something huge that happened in this tiny country, which is the August 4th explosion, which is the third biggest explosion worldwide after Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And you explained it very well. Sometimes there's some parts of the words, and because of this going on worldwide, because of the chaos we're seeing worldwide, sometimes a few places are unseen, unheard. So Beirut the Aftermath is here to scream, and in each person that testified in this documentary, there's a voice of each and every Lebanese, be it the each and every one who gave their testimony, or each and every one who worked behind the scene in the documentary. So yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting the voice of every Lebanese be heard worldwide.
Well, and thank you for saying that, but thank you for bringing it to the festival to get it out there. It's a discussion we have to have. And again, this happened August 4th. And a lot of people are unaware what year that happened. What year?
Sorry, there was, I could not, the voice was shut.
Sorry, what year did that happen?
On August 4th, 2020, we had an explosion, as I mentioned. It was the third biggest explosion after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We had more than 250 victims. We had more than 6,000 injured. We have more than 250,000 people who were homeless. In a blink of an eye, in seconds, we lost so much. And we should not forget that on this specific period, Lebanon and Beirut was going through a very, very hard time, be it the world pandemic that was Corona, but also the local problems that we had to face with our government, with our corrupted politicians, with our bank sector that held our money hostage until this day, and of course. This was a way for me as a filmmaker to try to keep a trace of history, to keep a trace of the memory, because in Lebanon as well, maybe not everybody knows it, but we do not know the history of our own country. We do study the history of the world, but we do not study the history of our country. The history of our country stopped in 1942 with the independence, but after that, there's nothing the politicians or the government or even the historians agree about. So for me as a filmmaker, it was a duty for me to keep a trace and to have a part of history that will never, ever be erased.
Yeah, and again, I'm glad you brought this up. There it is, Beirut, the Aftermath. Again, you can watch it right now. You can actually go and click La Femme Film Fest. All the information's there. This type of information, again, when you say it, I remember a blast, and I remember around that time, I think it was this one, and I said, okay, there's something more to it, and sometimes people don't understand what more is. It kind of gets told here in the home front, oh, it's just a simple this or that, right? Because of politics, and sometimes even what I would call the big P word, propaganda, right? So what do you need people to understand, especially here in the States, even though the film can be seen anywhere and everywhere? I mean, online, we're not really inhibited by borders, except certain areas which don't allow, like certain lines of internet, I mean, like Korea.
Okay. So what's very, very important is the psychological impact that this blast left on the Lebanese people. There will be years and years for this psychological damage to be fixed, if it will ever be fixed. And of course, 1/3 of the city was destroyed, completely destroyed. Until this day, like 2 years after the explosion, we're still struggling to pick ourselves up. So it's important that the world understands, not only for Lebanon, but for any other part of the world. We are all humans. We are all human beings that are alike. And what is very important is that humanity should prevail, and that your sorrow should be my sorrow, and my sorrow should be your sorrow. So we went through a lot. Of course, everybody's going through a lot now worldwide, because as I mentioned earlier, the world is in a complete mess. But sometimes in some parts of the world, things are going on. It's like even if you want to do a science fiction movie, it would be too much. Like you would tell the scenario that no, this is too much for a movie to be made. So what's going on here? Like now we have worldwide gas problems, electricity problems, so many problems that are popping in left and right. We've been going through these problems for the past 3 years, and no one knows about it. Like it's beyond dignity. They took out our dignity, and it's even beyond every basic human rights. Like we do not have access to medication. We do not have access to electricity. We do not have access to the basic human needs that are available worldwide. So I would like us, hand in hand, to try to be heard and try to help each other in order to have a solution to what is going on here in Lebanon.
Yeah, and I want to say, keep the conversation going. I know you've got, social media there, and you got a lot of things. So I will say again, go check it out. It is now available at the 18th Annual La Femme International Film Festival, which again, Normally we just have the LA crowd. Now we get to have the everywhere crowd, right? Except Alien, right? I don't know. Would Alien say, look, man, can you guys get along? Because, you know, we want to invade. You know what I mean? Would we band together then? Or would we say, get your own place? All right, so we're running out of time, but again, thank you so very much, Fadia, for spending time with us, and thank you for joining the great La Femme Film Festival 2022. Everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you'll enjoy the documentary.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we got more right after this. You can get your all-access pass right now. It's all available right there at lafemme.inventive.org/films. You'll see it right there. We'll be right back right after this. One of the great things we have here at La Femme Film Festival is not just films, but we also got, well, filmmaking. And some of the making is obviously in the script. Joining me right now is Jen Butler. Well, we'll call it a screen. I hate calling it a screenplay because it's not theater, but it's like let's put it this way. Writing is not easy. It's hard. And when you do it the way you do it, it's kind of cool to be selected, huh?
It is very cool, and it is actually called a screenplay, which is frustrating and confusing for a lot of people. So you can say movie script, but screenplay is the
I like that movie script. I love that.
Movie script. There you go. No one gets confused about that. But
yeah.
It's exciting to get chosen for something like this. I wanted to write a movie my whole life, but I wanted someone to just randomly show up at my doorstep and be like, Jen Butler, do you want to write a movie? Here's $1 million. And so that doesn't happen that I'm aware of. So finally, during existential crisis on a normal Tuesday night, I was crying to my boyfriend and he was like, Jen, just write the movie, like just a little bit each day. And I did. So I started working on it and I can't see your face anymore, by the way. It was a nice face. I was enjoying looking at you. Now I'm just staring at myself.
You don't need to. You just need to see. Okay, first of all, do you have the script there by chance? Is it like right next to you? Can you like bring it up? Because I want to show like the work that is involved with the script. I recently wrote one, and I was like,
wrote a script, like a whole movie script.
Yeah, because sometimes you know, you don't have it in print. Okay, because I say always have it in print just in case somebody wants to read it or they want to produce it, right? But back to something that La Femme does. La Femme allows you to feature your script. And I gotta say, you know, they don't just select anyone. So what is it about this that makes it go like, you know, next level?
When you say this, are you talking about my script?
Yes.
Okay, so I can tell you a bit about it. I was looking to see if I have it available. I printed it out once and then spent so much paper printing it out, I decided not to do that anymore.
I know. I went to Staples and I was like, how much? Like it's like a book. I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. It used to be 5 cents. Now it's like 30 cents. Okay, so look, your film, obviously, tell me what it's about.
Okay, sure. So just to give you a little background on me and how I got the idea for the film, I'm in recovery from alcoholism, addiction, suicidality, and a weird period of time when I only listened to dubstep. But I lived a lot of my life stuck in, I'm glad you got that humor. I did that in stand-up. I did,
actually. I love
dubstep. I did that in a stand-up show once and it went real well. Anyway, so I lived a lot of my life in victimhood, just blaming everyone else for the pain that I experienced and why life was so hard. And so a little under 10 years ago is when I started my journey of recovery and rewriting all these storylines that I had about life and why it was so hard for me. And I started taking responsibility for my own stuff so I could stop living those same scenes over and over again. So that's how I got the idea. Why, thank you. That's how I got the idea for the movie. It's called End of Scene. And the log line is: a burnt out housewife must decipher clues left by her past self in order to escape a mysterious house that resets every time she tries to make a change. So the mysterious house is a physical representation of the subconscious mind and the journey that we all go on and the challenges we face whenever we're working through rewriting patterns and inner narratives and limiting beliefs and that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to read this. I know there's a thing in Hollywood that you got to be careful who you show it to because you never know who's going to steal the idea, right?
Yeah, so I had that fear for a while, but apparently that's like an amateurish fear to have, according to one blog post that I read one time, because like every idea kind of copies a little bit of another. Like all of the movies that I've read or watched and all of the books that I've read, like my life experiences have sort of become this melting pot of these movies that I now create. So I'm sure you can find little hints of other things in them. But there's all sorts of cool copyright stuff in order to protect us. So I just kind of have my fingers crossed about that, and I don't just let anyone read it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm the same way. I have a producer working on a film right now, and I'm not gonna lie, I think she got in touch with someone that I'm like, I think he's gonna steal it. But you know, if you're gonna option it, that's one thing, but don't steal it. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful. That at least I say this: if they're gonna steal it, at least that tells you you're on the right. Like I say, go get your own idea. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. My screen has like totally frozen, so I'm not staring at anything now, but I still hear you, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, ideally the film actually gets optioned and I make just ridiculous amounts of money and get to sit around in my pajamas watching baking shows and writing more movies. I mean, that's really the goal. And you can actually go through different stages to get sort of like actual copyright of your work. But there's apparently something like digitally imprinted in what we create now too. I did some research, I Googled it. And so I feel pretty safe. And
you gotta be careful with Amazon and Create Space. There's so many things out there that they own your stuff. And like I had a book I recently published because I was like, okay, what do I do with my life? Everything fell apart in 2020. I'm not gonna lie. And I was like, okay, what do I do next? I'm like, all right, well, I got a story here, I got a story there, I got a rhyme here, I got a rhyme there. And I was like, okay, what do I do next? And I had to do some how do I say okay. Because I interview so many people in the film world. I've done it for the last 8-12 years. And I've even been asked to produce film. And then all of a sudden they go somewhere else. You're like, I put in all that work for what? So let's go to your script. What is an awesome cast that you would see? Okay, I want this one, this one, and this one. They need to at least read it. And if they want to do it, maybe they can help out with putting it together. Because I think that should happen. What do you think?
Wow, that's super exciting. So 2 main characters. I would love the man to be played by Will Smith or Mahershala Ali or something like that. And then for the woman, I don't know why, but I had is it Amy Adams or Amy McAdams? Redhead?
Amy Adams.
Amy Adams, yeah. But the issue is that
she could be a McDaniels or McAdams,
the woman has to shave her head at one point, so I mean the actress would just have to be ready for that.
Oh, she would do that. Actually, I know the school she goes to because I have a little one that I used to babysit. He goes to the same school as her. She's in Hollywood, so it's not hard.
What's not hard? To shave your head?
Yeah, that too. No, to get, sometimes people think, okay, I wrote a script, it's not going to get made to the next level. But here in Hollywood, it's kind of easy to run into somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. But it's hard because sometimes they have agents, sometimes they have someone that kind of gets in the middle. But sometimes you see them at an event and you go, would you ever do that if you saw them in person?
That's tough because I wouldn't want to be the jerk to do that, right? So I don't want to take advantage of their hard work and where they are in their lives, because if I see them at a coffee shop or something like that, they're out there being human, right? They might be famous, etc., but that doesn't mean that they're just open for business for everyone to come and try and take advantage of where they are in their lives. So I'm okay putting in the hard work, and I trust sort of in the universe and in the work that I've done for myself that something's going to click. And maybe I do see someone and they're famous and they ask me about it and the conversation naturally arises, but I think that I would leave someone alone who is famous if I saw them in.
Okay, I'm going to tweet out those people that you said, anyone else that you want in the film, that when you write it, sometimes you get a visual and you go, oh, this person would be that, or this person would be that. I'll give you an example. One of my films, I'm going to say it, it stars Sandra Bullock. Okay, and I put it in the script. So if somebody casts her as the same thing, I go, there it is. I can sue because I'm ready to sue. I'm not lying. But my point is this, Chen, you at least have something really good. And I think you should say, look, I'm shopping it, and I'm shopping it to get either A, option, B, produced, or C, made right now, right?
Yeah, but who do I say that to, right? Just go and scream it from the rooftop in Ball Ground, Georgia, right? Because I'm not in Hollywood.
Yeah, but you're online. That's the best thing. And they all have social media handles, I think. Will Smith does. He's on Instagram.
Well, there we go. That's what I'll do. I'll just ping him on Instagram. He's like, hey, buddy, I wrote this. You'd be great in it, pal. I know.
Why not? So real quick, give the little snapshot. If they were in front of you, why would they be good for it?
why would they be good for it, or why would it be good for them?
Sure, why not?
Yes, all of the above. All right, let me like get into character for it. So I have my little pitch sort of set up, which I gave you already as like the elevator pitch of saying, here's what it's about. But I would say that it's a story in my toes that I know needs to be told. And we like why this story and why now and why they could be excited to be a part of it is that there's so much hypersensitivity and like finger pointing nowadays where people aren't taking responsibility for their own behavior and they instead blame everyone else. And so I would just love for this story to be told, especially with people who can really have that, bring in that emotional component and that rawness and that honesty, and people who've done their own work spiritually, emotionally, and mentally in order to present this message in a way that's still digestible for people who maybe aren't quite on that like cerebral level or wanting to talk about the subconscious mind or whatever. It's still digestible for anyone else to watch. But I would love these wonderful, complex actors that I know could carry a story like this and do it in an authentic way. So you, Will Smith, come on over, baby.
There it is. At least take a look at it, right? Or send it to your agent if you have to. Yeah. Okay, so Jen, congratulations getting featured here at La Femme. I know they don't just choose anyone. I know it's always a big thing whenever it's like getting chosen. Again, it's a script about a burnt out housewife in a mysterious house that resets every time she tries to make a change. I think that in of itself is a good idea. So great job.
Thank you. I very much appreciate it. I appreciate your time and good luck with yours as well. Sounds like you got a little drama going on there, but that you have some good opportunities as well. So I hope it goes very well for you.
Yeah, it's a first draft, so I'm ready for like an 8th draft coming down the line. Thank you, Jen, for spending time with us here on the La Femme International Film Festival 2022.
All right, well, have fun the rest of the day.
Joining us right now inside the beauty bubble, two people kind of joining us, part of a huge team. We got Sherry Gawk, who is a part of this, and Cheryl Bookout. Both of you did this, and I will say this: it is a documentary, but it's an interesting documentary. Can you kind of, share what it's about?
Sure. I don't know. I'll start. It's about a roadside attraction in Joshua Tree, California. I live in Joshua Tree, so the subject of our film is someone that I'm acquainted with, and felt like his story needed to be shared. He's a very flamboyant, amazing, charismatic man who owns this roadside attraction with about 3,000 vintage beauty artifacts in it. And because Joshua Tree is a tourist destination, he's learned to really be quite flamboyant in how he shares about his collection. But also he has a really amazing family life. And I like to say that I had a life-changing haircut when I met Jeff, because his beauty salon, it's the Joshua Tree Beauty Bubble Salon and Museum. And I went in for a haircut that changed my life, and hence this film. And Sherry and I have worked on other projects together, and I'll let Sherry speak, but I called her after my haircut and said, oh my gosh, I am so excited. I really think I have our next subject for our next film. What do you think? And she said,
yeah, no, I was really excited to hear about Jeff. I signed on before I even met him. And you see in what's playing right now, it opens with him actually singing to one of his clients as he's cutting her hair. And that's a typical experience. Jeff is always charming and delightful and loves to entertain you at every moment. And tell you about his collection of vintage beauty artifacts, which is really fun.
Well, I think, great title, by the way. I don't know how you do it so quick. I love somebody saying, love the hair, by the way. But I'm not sure who they're talking about, either one of you. But, you got the poster behind you, Sherry. Who came up with that?
Oh,
Who came up with the poster? It's a collaboration. That's actually Jeff driving into the sunset in his vintage car, Ruthie. Named after his mom, who's very important to him, and he talks about her in the film. But I think that the poster kind of also captures this sort of whimsical quality of the way that we tell his story. You see the vintage hairdryer flying through the air, and we use animation a lot in our film. So the opening sequence, you're driving through the desert in Joshua Tree, and animated jackrabbits drawn by Cheryl are leaping across your path, and also vintage hairdryers are flying through the air towards you. And right away, we bring you into this world that has a lot of magic and whimsy.
Well, I love it. And Cheryl, look, if you're looking for someone to do a film on or a documentary on, what is it that you look for specifically? And what was it specifically about this that you said, okay, Sherry, we got to do this?
Good question. I think for me personally, and Sherry and I have talked about this, we love to share artistic visions and artistic people's stories. Sometimes people who don't get a chance to make their voices really heard. And so when I was sitting in that chair getting my hair cut, as actually part of one of the attractions when people come into Jeff's salon, and his interaction and his artistic abilities, not just as a creative hairstylist, but just even in the way he's organized his salon. And the more he spoke about his family and his commitment to community, he has such a strong voice that I felt it wasn't being heard. And, on so many levels, it's a gay marriage. He and his husband adopted a child at birth who is biracial. And his story, the more he talked to me, the stronger I felt about wanting the whole world to hear about Jeff and his life, and not just his roadside attraction, but how he maneuvers it through the world. In the film, you'll see that he has an exhibition at the San Francisco Museum of Art at the airport. It was like the first museum in an airport. So his creativity is bound. He knows no limits.
Okay, I can tell you both work well together. How long have you worked together? And is this your first time? I feel like we met before.
It's our first time in the film, but
because I was thinking that we had a film in it before, Glorious Call. But it's this whole experience of being online and doing the Q&As is definitely different and delightful. It's wonderful that we can be at home and still be.
Yeah, I've been doing it for like 8 years, so I'm kind of like, I always see people and they go, "How come you don't remember me?" I go, "I'm sorry, we interviewed so many people throughout." I think there's 100 and some filmmakers in this, or probably more, because there's 120 films, so definitely one per, so 2 or 3 per, plus crew, plus people. Putting this together, I don't think people understand what it takes to make even okay, when you get there with your camera. What do you do to have they not be very because sometimes people freeze and you're like, no, be you, and they're what's the process for that? I always wonder that.
Well, I think with Jeff, it was kind of the opposite of what is usually the problem. Because he is such a he's always on, he's a performer, and so it was very easy, and he's told his stories many times, so it was very easy to get him to be colorful and dynamic on camera. The bigger challenge with him was, he is a very authentic person, but getting him to also share the challenges, because he's a real glass half full kind of guy. And so what are the challenges? And, when we started making this film, we were on this journey with him of having this, being in the small community of Joshua Tree and having his collection be showcased to 50 million people at the SFO Museum. So he was on this journey to be on this international stage, this place where a lot of people are going to see his work. And we thought, oh, it's just such a happy, story, where's the tension, where's the challenge, and where's the character arc? And then COVID hit. We started filming this in winter of 2019, and COVID hit, and all of a sudden his salon was closed, his museum was closed. He didn't know where his financial wherewithal was coming from, and he was depressed because he wasn't able to share all this stuff with his community. So it kind of gave us those challenges that we needed to make a good film, ironically.
Yeah, I get it.
And to piggyback on Sherry about getting Jeff to open up, the reverse, being true with Jeff, always being the glass half full. We just hung around and did a lot of taping, and he when he would start to talk, you could see him switch over from being on to being really emotional, and we were really grateful to him for sharing that part of his life with us, the part that makes him emotional.
And the film is a film that will make you laugh a lot. It'll also make you tear up. It's emotional because it's about a family. It's about intimacy. And, we have this teenage boy rolling his eyes when his parents say things that embarrass him. But also, just one other thing I wanted to say is that Jeff, we have 8 original songs by Jeff in the film. He's also a musician. And an example of Jeff is during the pandemic, he wrote a song called Smile Behind Your Mask. And that kind of says it all, for who Jeff is, and in the face of challenges. You got to keep that smile on.
It's available right now. Go get your tickets. You can watch all the great films or just this one. All you have to do is find it. Click on the link. We'll show it to you right there. lafemme.eventive.org/films. This one, Inside the Beauty Bubble. Again, with Cheryl, Sherry, and the great guy who makes things fun. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And evidently you could get a hair appointment in Joshua Tree. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. He's back. Yeah. But for a bit, he took a break on cutting hair, but he's back doing some. I saw you posted it on Facebook, and it is a delight, whether it's Jeff or one of the other women who are working in the salon. It is such a delightful experience. I highly recommend, if you're planning to come stay out in Joshua Tree, make an appointment at the Beauty Bubble. Or at least go in and look at the collection.
It's a good calling card if everyone says, "Hey, where you at?" It's like, go watch the film. All right. Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thank you, Aaron.
Here at the La Femme Film Festival. Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Joining me right now from Ages of Man is Martina Silcock and Claire Liana Apps. You both obviously taking part in this festival. Obviously, is this your first time?
Yes, it's first time for me.
Okay, then I could say from all of us to you and your entire. Well, let me ask you this: Ages of Man, it's a comedy and horror, something that usually you don't put together, but sometimes you do, and it's called an anthology fiction short. What does that mean?
Well, it's 3 different vignettes in 3 different stories. So there's 6 different actors, and you only see each piece for one scene. And it's essentially a triptych that sort of discusses the invisible labor of women. So it's a very highbrow concept, but a very silly film.
Okay. And I'm glad it is silly because, sometimes we need silly in this like weird world we live in. I mean, people are talking war, people are talking like, so I'm like, hey, let's laugh a little. Martina, I know obviously joining Claire in this, what can you tell people it's about fully? Because I know it's a short, but again, there's a lot of like info on it. Like I'm looking at the write-up on it, and it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, as Claire was saying, because it's like in 3 parts, and it's essentially like 3 different stories with one, as I would say, like comedy, horror. There's only one that's kind of like a real sort of horror with a bit of like blood in it, but it's mainly and there it is. In fact, that's the bit with the little bit of blood in it. and it's sort of, I kind of sort of described it a bit as like existential horror of men. These men are in vulnerable positions with women, but they don't quite know. And I don't want to give it away too much, but it's like three very different stories.
I'm learning it's not easy to push a body away, right? Or pull it. Like, which is better, push or pull?
Yes, yeah. I was actually behind that wall. Yeah, it was a bit difficult for her to push the body, so I was actually pulling it on the other side.
I'm not sure I would want to be the body pulled or pulled. Sometimes they hit like the head, and you're like, play dead, you know. Like, but okay, bringing this full center. I mean, you know, you're at the International Film Festival of La Femme, and I love that, you know, people can watch it on their device and or on TV via the app through Eventive. You can click on the link below. It's lafemme.eventive.org/films. In this film, there's some pretty cool stuff, including some pretty fun people. Can you talk about that?
Do you want to go?
You mean the actors that are in it? Yeah, we have a bunch of different actors. A lot of people we utilize are from the comedy scene. So we have two pretty well-known clowns in LA, which was really great to work with. They are in the clip that you just watched. And we also used one of my friends who's a stand-up comedian in one of the scenes where he's actually in a bathtub and playing with toys. So that was a big, big change from his normal setup. But yeah.
Okay, that's fun. Martina, is there anyone that you're like, okay, we can use again? Because sometimes when you go with a film and you kind of like get everyone together, you kind of have something in your head and you go, you know what, they'd be good for that. And then you like write it or you produce it together again because you know they work well.
I'd say that they definitely work with everybody again. They were all great. It was really interesting seeing the dynamic between, I think each of the dynamics worked for each of the sections, like each of the stories. But we were just saying like the two, like people from the clown community, like Mira and George, because they knew each other and they worked together. They gelled really well and they kind of worked for the narrative of that scene, that section, because they were kind of like a little bit sort of snarky with each other. So that kind of worked really well. And like everyone, no one else that knew each other, like in the other parts, which I think was quite interesting as well, because like the third one is quite intimate. The kind of was saying about Stephen, who's a stand-up comedian and isn't normally in like a sort of dramatic space, and was in a very intimate space with the actor Carly. But they all got the memo. They all understood everything, and everyone. It was really nice seeing everyone gel together in different ways. And
I love this line. I have to say it. It's an anthology fiction short where three men find themselves in vulnerable positions with three women. All you have to do is just say that. And I can tell you right now, we're living in a world right now where people have stories, man. Some men are like, and some women are like, you know. So I think you brought it together with these three stories of three men. Which was your favorite?
Well, for me, I mean, that's the main purpose of the film, because I think every woman knows what it feels like to be scared of men. It's sort of something that it's learned behavior from when all you have to be is on the wrong road and the sun to be coming down at the wrong time to have that feeling. And so what I tried to do with the writing is to take three little bits and we sort of tongue in cheek ask the question, what would it be like if men were put in situations where they're potentially in danger from women, but they don't necessarily know that they are. And playing that kind of as a little bit of a joke, but also it having maybe sticking around with people's thoughts afterwards and allowing people to think about it. I mean, my favorite probably is the last one in the bathtub, because it's a huge metaphor. When you watch it, you'll understand what I mean. But I do think it was really fun, having a mansplainer and then, killing a mansplainer.
Of course. So he's got to kill the guy. That's been happening a lot. Have you noticed?
Yeah, because I would say, like the second one with like the mansplaining thing, I think that's, probably my favorite. I think because it's sort of slightly longer than the other ones, and it's, it sort of really kind of like hit a nerve in my head. So that's why it's my favorite.
It's interesting to see who likes which one as well. That's because there's 3 different stories. People are very opinionated about which is their favorite.
Well, and I think the question after they see it is, why does that resonate with you? But you can ask it like, what about it reminds you of your own, and then they go, oh God, I remember this, that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of people really like the first one because it's got like it ends with a big kind of like slapstick kind of moment. And it's a lot of fun seeing like who reacts to that moment. And it's got quite a few laughs, that first one.
Well, I always say to men, don't cheat, because when the woman finds out if she's one of these, she may just, bye-bye.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. We can't, because it's like 3 different punchlines. It's sort of hard for us to really talk about the script in any detail. But we promise anybody who wants to watch it, it's 3 little 3-minute vignette shorts, and you'll definitely be on a ride that you haven't been on before.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. I can't wait to see what's next. Speaking of which, is there anything coming up around the corner?
Yeah, we've got quite a few things. Like me and Claire are working on a few things together. One which is like feature films. One which is about the first woman to cross America on a motorbike, which will be a lady called Effie Hodgkiss in 1915. So yeah, we're just like looking at the script at the moment and looking at funding. And yeah, I'm working on a couple of other films with other writers. One hopefully shooting next year, which we've got Scoop McNary attached to. Yeah, so lots of stuff. I know Claire's got lots of stuff going on at the moment as well.
Is that true, Claire?
Yeah, I've got an Audible podcast that's coming out about a female, based off the real life of a female poisoner. So there's a theme developing, but don't be scared.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see more from the both of you again. It's right here at the Femme Film Festival. 2022, 2023 is around the corner. I'm sure you got stuff ready to go. So thank you very much for joining us, and more right after these messages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the beginning, all films were short.
It's not a charity. We're not here to help you. We're not here to help your cause. We're there to make our money make money.
It probably takes a year to 2 years to really start seeing money.
That title of executive producer on a feature is not the same as the title of executive producer on a television show.
Because what you're seeing on television right now is history in terms of where decisions are being made today.
Don't give yourself a bad review before you start.
I'm sorry, I'm super awesome, and this is my pitch.
What are recommendations for packaging?
Getting to the right person at the right time, and you have the right piece of the package that they want to see.
And be able to adjust, because the plan will never execute exactly as you plan it.
If you set aside money for social media, for a publicist, for marketing, things like that, and really you don't have to sit behind those dollars, and you can have more control of your own release.
You can't go wrong. As for me, I knew that my episode was either going to be awesome or fine. That's the risk you take.
Joining us right now is Lane. Lane, look, you got a film called Anniversary, and it's I'll say this, it's a short, but it's shot in a way that I say you got to watch it, just like all the great stuff here at the film festival. But Lane, can you explain what it is people are going to see with this? Because the poster looks pretty fun, and the lady, I mean, she looks pretty cool,
Thank you. Yes, this film is about 2. There's the poster. It's about 2 best friends who are rushing to make one of them over before her husband gets home, and she's sure he's going to take her out to a surprise anniversary dinner. So it's about them like scrambling to make her over, and about their friendship, and how this idea that like our romantic relationships, our husbands, our wives are not the be all end all, but that our life is enriched by all of our relationships, platonic, by our neighbors, by everyone in our lives, and they can be just as romantic.
Okay, I'm looking at the trailer right now, and I can tell you right now, it already looks like okay, where did you find these ladies, first of all? And did they just follow the script, or did the script follow them a little? Because sometimes rewrites happen when you meet people.
A little bit of both. They're Johnny May and Lynn Tucci. They're both New York, character actresses who work all the time. Lynn Tucci was in Orange is the New Black, and Johnny May is in Boardwalk Empire and The Last OG and that damn Michael Che. But they are a pair. They just like adored each other so much and made the script totally their own.
I can tell. I mean, the fact that they like some people are like, no, I'm not going to do that on, on something. And I say, look, great job, by the way. You definitely pulled it off on this. I think it's something that, again, I'd say people need to see it. Anniversary. It's here at the Film Fest. Lane, how many different films have you done?
Well, I've directed a handful of shorts that are my own, and I've written and directed. But I also my day job is as a script supervisor. So I've worked on a ton of different TV shows and movies, countless. So I'm in it all the time, even if it's not my own.
You've seen it all, in other words.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I say, okay, good. Because then you know what works and what does not, right? And what would you say? We're going to pick your mind for a bit. And by the way, I have panels throughout the week that you can subscribe to. There's a whole virtual short fest of like information that you can get also during the film festival. So you get films and you can get information. But Lane, for people that like don't like, I'll give you an example. We had a person talk about her script earlier, and I'm like, sell it. She wasn't selling it. Like, I think you should. But sometimes when you read a script, what is it that you yourself say, okay, it's just missing this or it's missing that? Because even though you kind of supervise it, you also make an opinion really quick. Do I like it? Do I not like it? What could, sometimes the flow's off, sometimes it's on. So says you have to understand the vision of what they want to shoot eventually. What is it you yourself say, oh, I like this? Because obviously it's you can be seen in your short.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything with a heart I really love. I think it's so easy to make a movie that's just kind of like going through the motions, but I feel like anytime I read a script or write a script, the number one thing for me is the sense of compassion and that it is like making the world a better place, that it deserves to be made and people should see it and feel seen by it. That's my biggest thing by far.
Yeah, it's right there. The 18th annual La Femme International Film Festival is happy to have Anniversary as one of the many things that you can see, and you can all watch it on your device of your TV. All you have to do is have a smart device. It doesn't work with like 80s or 90s televisions. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So, okay. If you have an iPhone, an Android, or anything else, you can watch as well. Although, Lane, we live in a time where it's like, when you make something like this, you kind of want to see it on the big screen. I know this year we're not doing that, but we are going international with anyone and everyone that has, an internet connection or streaming. Streaming is the next big thing. Some say, oh, it will never be a thing. I say, well, do you have one in your home? And they say, well, yeah. And I go, well, then there you go. It's not that hard. So, Lane, what would you say is the future of television?
I think there's so many branches of the future of television. I think and films. I think there's something amazing about the communal experience of watching something on a big screen all together. I think that's an incredible feeling to feel that energy. But I also think it's about watching it on your time because everything is so busy and everyone is everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
And it's about personalization while at the same time feeling like you're part of a community. And I think that's how we are working with streaming right now is everybody kind of watches it on their own time as they're able to. And then there's a community still building around like, oh my God, did you see this show? Did you see this episode? I think that's really the point of storytelling is that community.
Yeah, well, I think you did a great job. I can't wait to see it. These two, I think you got more with them. I don't know if they could do like a film together because I think, remember like Grumpy Men? Did you ever watch that?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, but they're not the grumpy women. They're the women that could take out the men. Like you should put them like in a okay. There was a movie with Sandra Bullock, and I can't remember her name, but they kind of like became like FBI agents. I think they have like something there, but maybe they could be, I don't know. What would you put them in like next?
I could watch them like make breakfast and I would be entertained. I think they could do anything they set their mind to.
They should be the next Cagney and Lacey. Did you ever see that? That's like a detective show, right? And they should have their own show. I think you need to write it.
I'm open. I'm ready.
Yeah, and if they're watching, I'm already a fan of you too. They need to get on social media. I know you're on social media. Where can we find you at?
The movie is on Instagram at Anniversary Movie. I'm on Instagram as well at Lane Kinsley, my name, and you can find us there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lane, for spending time with us here at the La Femme Film Festival 2022. Can't wait to look forward to all the great things happening around the corner. And great job on all the script writing, okay?
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Okay, more after this. Stay tuned. If you want to get your tickets, go now and get your tickets. All the great films are happening right now. It is time for you to buy. You can get your tickets and it'll start streaming right away as soon as, well, the festival starts. You can watch anything and everything on demand with the pass of $49.99. You do that, you'll be good to go to watch anything and everything. Plus, you can actually take part in some of the great information seminars that are going to be had. There's so much to stream. There's so much. Well, let's put it this way. If you have time, you're going to want to have, well, let's say this, time to watch some of these things. There's animation, there's shorts, there's films that you're actually going to learn something. And there's so much more if you just click on the link. It's lafemme.eventive.org/films. That's lafemme.eventive.org/films. Get your tickets now. It's all around the world. That's right. You get to actually participate with anyone and everyone all around the world watching all these great films. Again, we got so many to watch and choose from. Some of these filmmakers are, well, let's say this. They're telling a story. And when they tell their story, they want you to understand, hey, by the way, why don't you check it out as well? So you'll see features, you'll see documentaries, you'll see animations, including one that we just had a great time with. She just learned how to animate her film right over coronavirus. Like, who even does that, right? So learn all that you need to do and know at La Femme Film Festival 2022. More right after this. Stay tuned. Joining us right now is Monica, and Monica has a really good, well, it's called What We Just Don't Tell Our Girls. It's a short film about how women are criticized. Monica, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Monica, you know, this film, I know it's a short, but just like every short, there's a time that is invested. And when it's invested, you go, whoa, I'm going to be featured at a film festival. How cool is that? Especially when it can be seen anywhere around the world on their TV device if they have a smart TV, right?
Right. And I'm just so lucky to be part of a women's film festival. That means a lot, especially because there's not a lot of Latinas out there who are filmmakers. And this is an important thing for me to be part of. So,
well, there it is. It's happening this week, October 13th through 16th. You can get your tickets at lafemme.eventive.org/films. Now, Monica, obviously this film, What We Just Don't Tell Our Girls, well, let me have you say this. What is it don't tell, the young ones?
we basically tell them not to be themselves. They could be anything but themselves in the world. They have to be pretty. They have to be proper. They have to, follow the rules that society has for us. And so we just, we don't really encourage them to be themselves, at least not until they get into a certain age, especially in adulthood. And so that's still important. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because there's a lot of things that sometimes people say, no, we do that. But then I say, yeah, but you didn't have to go through this. Do you know anyone in your life that actually had to go through this?
Like all the girls in my family literally have to go through like a certain stage in their lives where they're told, yeah, you can do this, you can do that. But then it comes to a point where they, it happens at a certain age where they kind of just stop and they kind of lose themselves and their voice. And so when you're young, you kind of do that in a way where you can be able to express yourself, be goofy. But once you grow up, it's kind of just like, no, you got to grow up and just, follow society's expectations the most.
Yeah, no, I agree what you say, because there's so many things that happen, and sometimes you don't understand the repercussion of what you do or do not do when certain ones grow up. And this film, again, how long did it take?
It was kind of a process. So basically, it's supposed to be one girl. Obviously, I can't capture it when she's young. She's in her teenage years, and then when she's growing up as an adult. So it did take several stages for me to do it, because it was 3 different girls. It wasn't just one girl. So it took about like almost 2 months, I think we could say, in shooting it, and also getting like the voiceover and doing the music. So it was kind of like a fast process to do. Mainly because this was a short film that I wanted to present for grad school, but then it ended up being in film festivals. So, yeah.
Well, that's even better, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't appreciate, like, okay, 120 films, right? They're not all selected, by the way. So if you have an in, good job. If you don't, you really got to make it like really good. But here's the thing, even if you have it in, at least with the Femme Film Festival, that doesn't guarantee a spot, because there's only so many, like, you know what I mean? Like A, there's only so much time, and B, there's awards coming around the corner. Do you think like you might be watching some of the films yourself?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I mean, this is like my first real like film that I ever directed and produced. So that to me, just even being part of festivals means a lot to me. I mean, I've won already 2 awards. One for best short film in the Cannes Short Film Festival, and the other one was City of Angels Women's Film Festival. I won for best social commentary. So that I was just blown away, because I didn't even think that I would even win some, awards for my film. So that makes me really, really proud.
Well, I'm glad. I think you can inspire a lot of people, including the kids, right? Back to your film, and I'm going to bring it up here because it says, what we just don't tell our girls. Sometimes people don't understand, like, unless you're a father or a mother or an aunt or an uncle, you can inspire a kid for life, no matter what, right? And when you think of like, I don't know if you have kids in your own, like, fam that you go, what, I'm going to apply this. Is there anything in this that you go, yeah, I apply?
Oh yeah, like definitely. Like my nieces are a big inspiration to me, and that's kind of like the reason why I want to be a good example for them. And I also am some sort of like a teacher, I guess you could say. I'm a substitute teacher, and I work with a lot of youth, and I get to hear their stories every time, and kind of like the way, teachers or like the school district or their parents kind of come about them like trying things like per se, like joining cheerleading or basketball, stuff like that. And when they say, oh, like, I don't want to do it, or I think I suck and stuff like that, I kind of like encourage them, like, well, you don't know unless you try it, for yourself. So yeah, so working with youth, and also my personal experiences, being a young, Chicana girl, it just comes about like were things that I can apply to myself in my narrative. So
yeah, that makes sense. Well, good job. The little one, like, are you going to use her again? Because she's got that just that,
yeah, that little spark in her. She's funny, because she's actually the one that really wanted to participate in being in the film. The other 2 were like, do I really have to do this? I'm like, yes, you guys are a part of it. But yeah, the young one, she's my niece, she's my youngest niece, and she's always up for it. So I love that about her.
Oh, good. That's always fun when they can have fun, right? I always wonder, because I had this situation come up recently, and I said, do you mind? And they said, do we have to? And I was like, is it going around? Like, it's a fun thing. Have fun with it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the funny thing is that these women, like these people, just they're not actresses. They're just people that I see every day that I have experiences with. So they're my family. So it was kind of fun to watch them, being actresses in my little short, just me directing them. And the little one, obviously, you can tell she had some fun.
You
But,
could, yeah. I think you need to do a film with her. I think she'll be even more fun. And then you can get the other ones, like, I don't know, you could put them in roles like when they're not looking. Do that.
I know. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, I think they got more like excited that I was in a lot of film festivals and getting selections and all that stuff. So I think we have a good go if they want to come around doing round 2 on another film.
Well, I'm thinking again that little one, you should be her agent or manager. Be ahead of that, because I think this is her feature. Just so you know.
Thanks. I'll tell her that. She'll be really happy.
All right. Make it a great day. Remember, you can click on the link. It's lafemme.eventive.org/films. We have more right after this. Stay tuned. Thank you, Monica.
And thank you, everyone. It's nice meeting you.
Restless is the Night is the film. It's all happening. We got with us Xiao Shui and Yihan. I apologize if I mispronounce.
Yeah, it's
Yihan.
almost right.
Xiao Shui?
It's close enough. Xiao Shui. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Finally. Okay. I'm working on it. Look, a lot of stuff happening. It's a Femme Film Festival here of 2022. Restless is the Night is where it's at. It revolves around 2 women. A 30-year-old, her name is Lynn, who is a manager in a training company, and 20-year-old Fan, who is an intern at the same company. Now, it's set in China. Now, China's in like kind of like the thing right now. Everybody's talking about China, and I say, hey, there's a lot of good stuff in China. There's a lot of good people, and a lot of people just, they want to be, alive and well. And this film kind of highlights that, right?
Yes. And
So-
should we maybe introduce ourselves first?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, hello, my name is Yue Han, and I'm the director of the Restless is the Night, and I graduated from University of Southern California.
Yeah, and I'm Xiao Shui. We're classmates, and I also graduate from USC, and I'm also a co-director of Restless is the Night, and we both love it's an animated short film, so we both love 2D animation.
Yeah, and putting this together, I've been talking about it. This is pretty cool that we can see this like this. When you put animated anything together, what does it take to make it finally done? What's the process?
The process is 2D film. We have to draw the frame by frame, and so as long as we have the story and storyboard and character design, all that production things, and then we go into the animation making process, and we have to draw the keyframe and fill out all the in-betweens, and it's a very tedious work.
Yeah, it took us a year to finish the whole film, and also including going to post-production, adding effects, and also the music part, the sound design. Yeah, it's a lot of tedious work.
Well, and I love that it is tedious because it's not just for anyone and everyone, right? When you do it, you kind of put like a lot of time, you put a lot of energy, and I gotta ask, like, do you? Because I don't think people understand the kind of work that you do, and they think, oh, they make a lot of money, especially like young ones, and they go, oh, they make a lot of money. Is that true, or kind of like it would be great if you kind of give us a little something,
There's just no way. We're like we're just a new graduate student, and it was our thesis film, and we're still trying to promote our films, and we don't make any money out of it. We made the film because we think the message we want to convey is more important. But yeah, it was fun that also the school got us fundraised. We have some production budget, but we don't make any profit out of it. Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna look. Let me put it this way: I have a film that needed animated, but I think, oh, I got to go big budget. But you're kind of showing something. Like, how many on the team? Is it just like the both of you, or how many?
We have around 10 people.
Okay.
Including the animators and in-betweeners and colorists, and also the sound designer and composer.
Okay, so that already right there is a starting weight. Like, I'll give you an example. When Disney started, right, he started with an idea, right? But he went with some friends. Then he didn't have money. I don't know if you've ever seen Walt Disney, the movie, but you got to check it out because he and just a few friends kind of pulled it together eventually, but he was broke all the way through until finally he met someone who made sense, and that was his brother. And then, he kind of put the money sense into it. But you've got the creative down. You just need to meet the money person, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think as animators, a lot of us are just introverts, and we're not so good at like social and fundraising stuff. But a lot of us are like very creative and definitely have a lot of ideas that we want to make.
Well, I think you guys should do it for like, there's a lot of money in like gaming. And you could do a trailer for gaming. You could be like, here, check it out. And then you'd be like, whoa, they could run it as a ad. They could run it as something like, like I think of a butterfly thing. I have a book on butterfly. You would actually make it animate awesome. But what would I need to do? Like how much, if I have the money, will it cost me to make like a short?
How long would the short be? How many minutes?
Ooh, good question. Okay, I want it at least a good 8 minutes.
Wow.
I think in terms of our stuff, we are a 4-minute animated short, and we spend like $6,000,
yeah.
and they are all like student. Yeah, it's low. So I guess like 8 minutes, it maybe cost
10 times.
Yeah,
that money might be more than 10 times.
All right, you're getting it. That's I would say at least, let's see, if you spent that amount for and then like something that's not yours, you got to eat, right? You got to pay gas, right? Oh, where are you tuning in from, by the way?
Sorry, what's that?
Where are you both at?
Oh, we're at Los Angeles. Like.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
so you're here and you're paying like $8, right? Or do you ride a bike? You get it? It's costly.
Yeah.
So my point is this: to all people watching, understand they may do it for the love of it, but they got to get paid. So you got to get the pay. And I love that about Leslie and the entire people here at La Femme. They make sure that you at least get in touch with the right people, because it is about getting out there beyond your comfort zone. I'm not going to lie. And so then you meet people, you meet the producer, and then he goes, okay, I got a team. So either A, you work for yourself and you get out there, and B, you get in like kind of like La Femme Film Festival, right? And you say, hey, go check it out. And you say that to a producer. You say, hey, we could do it for, I would go for at least anywhere from 30 to 40,000 for a short of maybe 20 to 30 minutes. You do that, I think you guys will be good to go. What do you think?
Definitely agree.
You're like, I'll take anything. All right, look, your film, Restless is the Night. We're going to bring it up real quick so you can check it out. Again, it looks amazing. I can't wait to watch it. It's right there for you guys to all view. Again, one of the few animated flicks here, and I say this, you can always find talent with La Femme Film Festival. I have seen so much talent come through here. Then, like years later, they're like in a big budget thing. So I hope that happens for you too. If your dreams were met, what would you hope to do like long term with animating?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, I would want to like make definitely longer animation films, and we're both like also storyboard artists. We just want to make the ideas that we have like become animation in the future, hopefully.
Ooh, I like it. All right. I can see you too. Like I guarantee you're gonna have an office of your own. You're gonna be like based here. You're gonna be based where else around the world can you be based in?
In China, I think.
Even better. They got a huge section. Do you guys like anime or no?
Yeah, definitely. We love anime.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't convincing. I'm like, I don't believe you love anime. I love anime. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's a lot of money to be made in anime. I'm just saying. So I think you should, go check out Cyberpunk. By the way, they did a VR game based on the film of animation, and then they actually did a feature film based on an animated series. It's all on Netflix. So I think that's kind of what you need to take. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I watched it. It's so cool, and yeah.
See, so all
Good
right.
budget thing, so it should be great.
Yeah, and then you do it in English and Chinese, and then I think you need to bring in the Spanish. Okay, so I'll hook up the Spanish, you bring the English and Chinese, and then we'll hook it up together. How about that?
Sounds good. Great
All
plan.
right, La Femme Film Festival. It's where it's at. Go get it right now. There it is. Restless is the Night, October 13th through 16th. You can get it on demand and check it out around the world. Just get it on your smart device and or your phone or your tablet and or any device that has an internet connection. Click on the link. It is lafemme.eventive.org/films. Go check it out and you can get all that you need right there. Thank you very much for spending time with us here on the 2022 Film Fest.